and welcome to the Your Worth It Show. I am your host, Setra, and my prayer is that you hear something that will inspire you on this show today. Today, we are talking about single and dating. Yes. And I would like to welcome my guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because I have some amazing people here in the studio with me. So we'll go ahead, Lola, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Is it evening or afternoon? It's afternoon. Okay. So, good afternoon. I'm Lola, Miss Farrakhan, or whichever one you prefer. I reside in Dallas. I'm originally from Detroit. I am currently single, per se. You know how that goes. But hey, I'm here. I'm single. We're gonna go on and pass it on to my fellow.
All right. My name is Art. I'm originally from Detroit as well. Living out here in Dallas for the last 14 years or 10 years now. 45. And for you ladies, I am over 6 feet.
Over 6 feet. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Patterson. I go by the pen name The Chronicler. That's also my Instagram handle. I am 29 years old. I'm a very passionate artist and designer. I'm also a two-time self-published author. I got another book in the works, and I am presently dating.
Absolutely. I feel like I should have said more about myself. I didn't know we was giving a whole
Okay,
I ain't
go ahead. What you
No,
want to add
it's
up in here?
totally okay. Listen. I love that. I love
Alright,
that.
that's what
You
I'm
did your thing for that. But next time, let's just get it. Get it to cracking.
Alrighty. Well, hey, I see we got some Detroiters up in here.
Yes.
I am originally from Detroit, been here in Dallas for 12 years now. I am 51, and yes, I am not ashamed to say that. I am 51, and I'm single, y'all. I am out here in these streets single. So we're just going to get right to it, y'all, because that's what this show is about. We are talking about single and dating. So what is your current status, should we say? And it ain't no complicated up in here today, y'all.
Yeah. I think everything is too complicated. And I think that's the one thing that we need to come back from is basically making everything so complicated when it comes to dating. So I like to say I'm single, you know what I'm saying? I'm currently looking or not looking. If it happens, it happens. I want everything to happen organically. So that's the thing that we're struggling with nowadays is things happening actually organically. Everybody comes in with some type of intent. And I just think it's the wrong intentions. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take it back. I think I'm 49, by the way. Hey, just had a birthday on September 29th.
Yeah, happy belated.
Thank you. So I just think, like you asked, of course I'm single. Do I want to spend the rest of my life alone? Absolutely not. Do I feel sometimes that I don't have a choice? Absolutely. It's a lot of work dating these days. It's so much work. It's so much work that you got to put into it, the probing and the questions and the lies. So, of course, but hey, I wish for the best for everybody that's single and those that are dating. So, we'll see.
I definitely feel you on that. I mean, for me, it's definitely complicated out here. I think social media plays a huge role in that. You're getting different ideologies and thought processes from so many different people nowadays. And, people aren't really going into relationships authentic or at least dating, going into the dating field authentic anymore. You're taking what you've heard from this person or what you've heard from that person and you're trying to, bring it all together for, how you actually feel. So, I mean, I don't know. It's been a problem for me, a big problem for me. To go, I guess, maybe a little bit deeper, I've dealt with people who struggle with emotional intelligence, which will be the number one thing for me. That's probably the biggest question or the first question I'll ask, or maybe not even ask. I'm looking for that. Do you have emotional intelligence? So that's kind of been a big deal for me.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off of that, what you just said, that's the number one rule for me in dating. It's asking the necessary questions up front. Listen, I am so serious. If I give you my number and I know your intentions is to try to court me or date me or whatever, I'm going to ask the first 3 questions up front. You got to be intentional. You know what I'm saying? You got to ask those hard questions. You got to ask the questions that you must know up front. Because at this point, why would we waste our time to try to figure it all out when you could just simply ask? So that's very important. And that emotional thing, and that is very, very, very important. Good one.
Well, personally, as I mentioned a moment ago, I am currently dating. It's a recent development. There's a young lady I'm seeing who I'm just getting to know. What I want to say when it comes to dating, as someone who's been single most of his life and had time to just really think about that process, I think it's really critical to understand the posture of people's hearts. We like to ask a lot of questions. We want to know about their bedroom performance. We think about, okay, how much am I
Which
going to
is
have
important.
how much am I going to have to give up if we split up? We think about all of these things. How strong does the face card hit? All these colloquialisms we like to make, but we don't oftentimes think about like who someone actually is at their core. I really think it takes a great deal of time to get to know someone. Personally, I am not and never have been what you would call a Mac daddy. I'm really not big on, just rolling up on women in public. I study people really carefully before I consider them, just even for courtship or dating. And I just think that we would just really benefit from taking the time to really look beyond the surface and just giving ourselves time to understand who people are, even outside of the environment we found them in. Not just how they treat us, but even their interactions towards and their treatment of other people. And then just even how they do life day to day. Because one thing that I've learned from my experience, how people, their approach towards life, it also reflects how they may ultimately end up treating you.
Absolutely.
If they're
Absolutely.
irresponsible with their day-to-day affairs, they're going to be irresponsible with the people they handle, even in their relationships.
Preach, young man.
So I'm just really big on my three core principles are patience, discernment, and peace. And like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant recently said, I'd rather take my time in dating than to do time for making a bad decision.
That's right. I
that-
love that.
No,
That
that's
was good.
very
So I have
intentional.
a question for you all. So when it comes to dating and when you were dating, do you prefer to just, date that one person and just see where it goes? Or do you like to date multiple people and kind of like a any, mini, miny, mo?
I've been all over the board with that.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've dated multiple women at one time, and then you just kind of find yourself in a scenario where either you start to phase people out or they start to phase themselves out. But then I've also been where I've just tried to focus on one particular individual, and maybe halfway through or however long goes by, right, you start finding out this person is crazy as hell. So it's like, damn, I done wasted all this time with this particular person
Right,
when
okay.
I could have had multiple different options. So it's seasonal. It's seasonal. So
That's a tough question.
yeah,
Right.
it's
How did
crazy.
that go for you, John?
Well, for me personally, I don't have the emotional endurance or the financial acumen to accommodate
okay.
multiple, dating prospects. And then for me personally, I literally, almost feel like I'm cheating on someone, even though, we're not in a relationship yet, by seeing, other women. So for me, I'm the type who, if my focus is on you, it's literally tunnel vision. It's on you alone, and I'm in the process of doing my research. And, just life has just taught me to be, really careful, with that. But I'm real strong on intentional dating. That's something you'll find throughout the course of this interview. And I just, believe that it's okay, to focus, on one individual. We almost treat people like food sometimes. You'll hear, I've even heard in other interviews where it's like, you're going to get bored, seeing or sleeping with the same person, etc. And we act like, it's almost like the spaghetti I cook during the week. It's like, yeah, eventually I might get tired of it, but at the same time, I think there can be long-term benefits from mastering the art of cooking that spaghetti. So
Right.
for me, I just really believe in learning how to patiently just find the value in a person and all of the nuances and the things that make them who they are. Because you could find a diamond in the rough if you wait. long.
True, Lola. Do you focus on one, or do you just have a bunch of them out there and just say, okay, look, you just weed them out?
You probably expected me to say weed them
I
out.
don't know.
Nah. But listen, I prefer one person.
Yeah.
I prefer to solely focus on one person if that is possible. And I get what Art said. It's about wasting your time, and nobody wants to waste their time, especially at this big old age, So, but my mind and my attention span and everything that I got to give won't spread across. I can't spread myself thin like that. I would rather focus on one person and put my all into that if it's being reciprocated. Now, that's one thing. Now, if I am focusing on one person, right, and I'm giving that person a shot or whatever, and this I'm doing 100 and it's not being reciprocated, then I'll start to like, okay, I might have to taper off because you only can give so much, you only can do so much, and it takes two people to actually put in that effort at 100%. But needless to say, I'd rather just put all my time into one person. But I surely get you saying that you don't want to waste your time because that happens so
Yeah.
often. You know, I had totally given up on dating. Like, okay, so I'm going to date this one person, and then it doesn't work out, and here I am starting all over with somebody else, and then I got to meet somebody. I got to put myself in the position to meet somebody else. That's work in itself. You work from home. I work from home. I don't hang out as much. You know, so it's like, oh my God, I'm doomed. I had to start all over. So that's the downside of dating one person. You don't have nobody else to fall back on. Get it?
Right. That's true because I have two friends, two girlfriends, and they told me, one told me, oh, well, you should just, focus on one and just give him your all and see how it goes. Where I have another friend, she said, you know what, girl, date them all. Date them all. And I'm just like,
I
I'm
hear
like
that
you.
so often.
I am so intentional right now where I don't have time to just be dating this guy and that guy. But then goes back to what Art says. Now you didn't given this person, all of you, and now what if you find out, okay, this person been playing with me from day one.
God.
Now you didn't just waste the time and now go back to you. Now you got to start all over again. And it's just like, at some point you get tired. Like, as I said, I'm 51 and I'm just like, I can't believe the stuff that's going on out here dating. I can't believe that I'm actually even dating at this age, but it is what it is. So what is one, a good question that you will want to know up front when you're first meeting that person? What is something you just got to know up front to know if you're going to move forward? Go ahead, Art. What is very important to you? Because I know, maybe how is she raised or what is her beliefs or...
That's important, but I guess one thing I guess it's more so like, do you have grace?
Ooh, that's
Do you have grace? And like, do you know men from a biological standpoint? Like, can you deal with me as a man? Because there's some egos that come along with me. Like, so are you able to deal with me in a way that doesn't usurp my authority as a man, or they kind of tramples on my ego? So there's a lot of women I don't think has that subtle, what's the word I'm looking for? They just don't know how to deal with men. Kind of speaking aggressively or just having a soft undertone. So I'm having a hard time finding my words right now, but I think brother might know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead, help him out, Josh. Go ahead, help him out.
Oh, for
What is important for you? What is one thing that you would want to know when you were first dating, when you first met the one you were in a relationship? What was the one thing that was important to you to know that
honestly,
you were going to move forward?
and I'm glad I'm getting it out early because some people would call it a cliche question, but just do you honor God? Do you respect Him and honor Him with your life? The kind of woman I'm looking for has to love God more than she loves me, because I think her reverence for Him, for her Creator, is also going to influence everyone that she treats on this natural plane. So her vertical influences her horizontal. And that's also important because as somebody who's dating on purpose, I need someone who is what I call a purpose partner. A lot of times we look for SOUL mates, the type of soulmates who are supposed to, finish our sentences, who like what we like, who happen to wake up at the same time we get up in the morning. But we're not looking for SOLE mates, the soulmates who are actually designed to run with us through life's marathon. So for me, I'm just thinking, not just in terms of who we are to each other, but in terms of what we're called to do as a husband and wife who work together. So for me, that's one of the most critical things, is just somebody who is actually, compatible in terms of their ability to handle the workload that's going to be placed on both of us, as we decide to build a family and as we decide to fulfill, our aspirations, whether it's business-wise, ministry-wise, right, and then domestic as well. That's one question. If I could add an additional, maybe at least as an honorable mention, I'd like to know how she's handled where she's already been. One thing that I've seen just in terms of my dating experience or even seeing young ladies is there's a major issue with trauma. You have a lot of people, and it's not just women. I want to put that out there right now. It's not just women because men have that issue as well.
Right.
But in general, you have a lot of people who have hurt before and they haven't quite fully healed. So what they oftentimes end up doing is they end up bleeding on the next person that they meet. And before you know it, they're treating you the same way that they would process their ex if they ran into them again. So that's a critical thing. And then just from things like as a man who's worked in a predominantly female environment, I'm kind of familiar with how, women talk, about us, in reference to men. And yes, to all the men out there, they do talk. And you'd be amazed at some of the things that they observe about us. So, but just understanding that, understanding that, they, we have individuals, who've dealt with some unfortunate situations in the past, people who've been divorced and all of that. My issue is, you can go through something, but there's also a thing called growing through something. So for me, it's critical to have someone who's matured and isn't moving into the next engagement where they're approaching that person with open hands and open wounds. And the reason I stress that is because that person that they're meeting, they've probably hurt at some point in their life as well. So you have to find a way, to be healed to a point where you can meet someone halfway and have the grace to accommodate them.
And say hurting people hurt people.
How you feel about that healed part?
Oh my God! Like we can talk. Yes. So I think one of my questions would be, what happened in your previous relationship? If there was a relationship trauma, are you healed from that? And the reason I say that, we go into whatever situation we go to and we set expectations that we don't set for ourselves. And once we set the same expectations of ourselves, then you get a better understanding of what someone else. I often like to ask men, like, how do you feel about mental health awareness? Because I'm big on that. And I'm big on men going to see counselors and therapists and everything. And because it's a different type of trauma to me personally for a man's hurt and a woman's hurt, right? So I always want to know, are you healed from that trauma? And that's very important. And I say it because I had to go through it. I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to talk to my mirror. I always tell people to talk to your mirror. And they're like, what are you saying? I talk to yourself. Go in your mirror and talk to your mirror. And say to yourself, like, what am I doing here? And what am I doing wrong? And accountability is, like, huge. I know it's so cliche, and everybody's talking about accountability. Accountability is, like, the most important thing that you can do for yourself to heal. Definitely. So, like, that's one of my questions for sure. Are you healed? What happened in your past relationship? But I'd like to, and once you tell me or whatever, I'll leave it there.
Keep going. This is a conversation.
I don't think I've ever asked that question.
Experience, but this is a conversation. So
you're single for a reason. We're all single for a reason. And people say so much. I'm only single by choice.
Oh gosh. Oh,
that's like the worst lie in the world. Some people are actually single because they don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice. Okay.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And you can easily settle for someone that, that's outside of what you want or whatever, just for the sake of not being single. But people are single because they don't have a choice. Trust me. I've been single 9 years.
Okay.
So, and it's a lot part because I had to heal from it is.
Right.
I had to heal.
How long it's been for
9
you,
years.
How long you been single?
I want to say maybe 2 years now.
Okay.
When I moved back to Dallas, me and my ex tried to make it work, and we quickly found out why it didn't work the first couple of times.
Right.
But
It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I guess the big thing is like what we're talking about now is that emotional intelligence.
Right.
There's a lot of people who haven't done the work, and that's something that I constantly look for. When I'm in that dating phase. So I'm asking certain questions, or we're doing certain things. I'm looking to see what your responses are like.
Okay. So do you believe that social media has a lot to do with maybe why a lot of people are single?
Can I leave that?
I just, oh my gosh, I think social media is
definitely
like the worst. The worst. You got influencers, and I'm going to be real. An influencer told me I'm going to die alone. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, why would you tell me that? Like, why would you tell me that? And all I was really saying is that I want a man that's going to be loyal and faithful and just be with me. So why is that so much to ask?
It is.
And why is it that social media is most people, and I'm not saying everyone, is saying that that's okay. I mean, now this was a woman. And I know color or race don't have nothing to do with it, but this was a black woman who was single to tell me that. So why would you tell me that? She could have easily just encouraged me and say, you know what? You can have what you say you can have. It's out there. But why social media is so quick to tear someone down on what they want? I just want, why can't a man be faithful?
I want to take that
Go
first.
ahead. I
Let
mean,
me
what's
tell you
going
something.
on?
Social media is the hands down ruler right now of dating.
And breakups.
Everything and breakups. Number one, no, let's just start. Yeah, let me double
let's
back.
start
Right.
there.
It's
Go
the
ahead.
number
Go
one
ahead.
for breakups because everybody is following everybody.
Right.
They don't say I'm gonna follow you for a reason. Most people actually take that serious and
Yeah.
follow them. Like I just think social media holds a great impact on the dating world today. Everybody it's whatever is trending now. It's whatever is trending, and what's so sad about it, it has no age limit. So it is not like you're younger, mid age, or my age. You know, everybody is following everyone. And for the piggyback off of what she said to you, you're gonna die old and alone. That's because she's settling. Trust me when I tell you, she's settling, and she, you know, people that deflect themselves on what they actually want from themselves. So her lashing out at you is actually her talking to herself. Trust me when I tell you.
Right.
But do you also think, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
I
cut you,
know.
but
Okay, let's go.
do you also think that some people could have some very high, unrealistic expectations or standards?
Absolutely me.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay, which
I
is-
do have some
uh-huh.
standards. Listen,
Okay.
I could tend to be a little bit
Uh-huh.
picky, you know, of what I want and what I like to look at, and you know, I want to be with a man that we complement each other. I want to be with you and look like that we're dating and not like you're paying me. You know what I'm saying? And I like certain things. I like hands being clean. I like to smell good. I like you to have a career. And then on top of all of that, I want you to be honest, loyal, faithful, and trustworthy. Even though those are my number one thing, but I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say, "Oh, I want to go to sleep with somebody and wake up and got to squint at them." You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to wake up and squint like, ooh, I don't know so much. You know what I'm saying? But my expectations are up there. Now, do I accept some flaws? We all have flaws.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do have some standards. And I
she
think we
should.
all
So
should
you
have
said
standards.
right?
and she
She
should,
should.
and
Don't
you
you have
can.
standards?
I do
He
have
definitely
standards.
have
I do.
standards.
I
What
do
are
have
things you look
standards.
for? Because I'm sure you're single, but I'm sure it's certain things that you're looking for when you date and meet a woman.
We all have standards, and
Right.
yeah, we can have standards. I do think that the scale is a little lopsided when it comes to men and women.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
tell
I'm
us
not
more.
again. I'm not saying that y'all can't have
Right.
standards. I just feel that the more standards that women have, the smaller your pool gets. You know, as far as the men that you have that you can choose from. You know, whereas for men, it's just a little bit different for us. I mean, we can have all the standards in the world because I mean, we're talking about women look good, right? And then for the women that oh man, I don't want to get
Keep
myself
going.
in trouble.
No,
For
no,
the
no,
women
no.
that may not be as
100.
attractive, they have
Okay.
methods that they can
course.
take themselves through to make themselves look good. So like there's a lot of different things that y'all can do that makes it more bountiful for men to choose from as opposed to women.
So
It's funny he brings it up though, just even when it comes to because you know there's a lot of cosmetic operations that women can do, but you know men can do it at times. You just don't see it as often.
It's
but when it
frowned
happens,
upon.
I'll admit it's pretty funny because there was a guy who you know for a while he was you know on social media as an influencer and he was really priding himself in being the quote unquote short king. You probably heard of that title.
Okay.
But
Short
not
king.
too long ago, he literally underwent an operation where
get taller?
he got a leg extension.
No
yeah, so he could
way.
get taller. Yep. So
That's actually possible.
He relinquished
That's
his
like 150,000.
he
So is it
relinquished
that
his
bad?
short king
It
title.
is that bad.
bad.
Because y'all came up with that.
Because women are like
bad.
if you're under 5'10",
I
you're
don't wanna
toast.
date a
But
short
that's
guy.
not-
You see that?
That's true.
And you're like you make up like 90% of women is out there.
Listen, I probably met my guy, and he was.
He was short?
I know a guy right now that is short.
And you
know,
didn't talk to him?
And
Oh,
I
wow.
can't. And he's a great guy, but because we're gonna look like the topper on the cake, I can't.
Really?
Like I
Okay,
just
that's
can't.
fair.
That's
I
what
I
you
like to
think
know.
That's horrible
I-
of me to
I would
say
like-
out loud.
I'd like to know for both y'all though, what's your threshold for short? At what point does a man fall into the short region?
Okay, for me, because I'm already short, I'll say 5'8" and under. I would
Okay.
prefer not 5'8" and under.
And see,
So that's fine.
for me, I've dated short guys, I've dated tall guys, I've dated thin guys, I've dated fat guys. For me, it's hard to find a guy that's honest, that would tell the truth, that wants to commit. That's been my problem. So sometimes I do, and I have overlooked the looks.
Oh, definitely.
And I try to tell myself, well, he's nice. He's nice.
That's
No,
'cause
no,
the
no
gifts
pun
and that money
intended,
was
right?
He's nice.
But you know those
We
men
all
back in the
have
day
done
wasn't lookers though
But I
either.
want somebody that's going to treat me right. And that's been hard for me.
Absolutely.
So I don't really know
It
if
be
it's
the
short
lies.
or tall, but it's the lies. So what has been the biggest problem for you in dating? All right. The
Back
biggest
to
what
I
do you
said,
what do you
the
come up with?
emotional intelligence that's been mine. Somebody else it may be a little bit different, but for mine it's just the emotional intelligence. There's a lot of women that can't manage their emotions.
We want to know the
We
same
wanna
thing.
know
What do you
what's
mean by
emotional
emotional intelligence?
Just the ability to manage your emotions. If we're having a discussion, if I say something that you don't like, that you just lose every molecule in and just
My big one.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly.
That's my big one.
it's like that for
That's
a lot of
my
women though.
big
At least the
one.
ones that I've been dating.
Absolutely.
But the women are emotional, so maybe some women can't really hold
That's
it
true.
in.
That's
Maybe.
true. That's
How
true.
would they
But
how
when
would
you
handle
couple,
that?
so we got to go back to healing now, right? So we
Okay.
talk about
Yeah.
women already being emotional.
Okay.
And I do get it from a biological standpoint. Women carry 2 X chromosomes, right?
Okay.
And I always make a joke to say, man, we have the X and Y, so we can be a little bit more logical than women, but when that logical part starts to take over the emotion, y'all don't have that. Y'all go into that second X, and you become overly emotional. Now, when you couple that with childhood trauma or previous relationships that didn't go too well, it just becomes a big explosion. And the fact that you just haven't taken yourself through that process of healing, now I have to deal with that.
Oh.
So
So good thing we only have 2 X's. What if we had like a third one, and then we go to the next one?
y'all will just be here. It'll be Handmaid's Tale.
Right.
It'll just be-
Listen, that's my big one too. I have zero tolerance for confrontation. As soon as I see something going left and you're raising your voice and you're starting to curse, I completely shut down. Completely, because that's not needed. I don't believe in arguing. I don't believe in none of that. If we can't sit here and have an adult conversation like we are adults, then I can't talk to you. If you can't value my opinion and not know that my opinion is worth something, then I'm talking to the wrong person. It's just that simple. I get it. That's my big one. Is that emotional intelligence or being able to control
Well, I
your
mean,
emotions?
you gave a pretty extreme example of somebody just
like-
basically talking down on you. Then
No, I mean, it's just the
naturally you're gonna.
whole act of it all. Like, you can express yourself and not use certain words. You can express yourself and not use a certain tone and get your point across.
Right.
It's just that simple, Use your words, right?
All right, it's how you say it.
It's absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean I totally get that, but I don't consider myself to be an alpha. I also don't consider myself to be a beta guy. I consider myself to be just a very masculine man. And I look for the very opposite of that, femininity.
Okay.
So the moment that I see that a woman's being, aggressive, that takes me back to when I said I started with the woman has to have a little bit of grace. How she carries herself. Like, can you deal with me as a man, my masculinity? Most women want men that's masculine, but for whatever reason in today's society, they just...
Because we had to start being masculine.
I feel like
To some
I know the
degree.
reason why that is, and I don't fault y'all for that. But since over the last, 15, 20 years, the men have been screaming, femininity, and it's just y'all just like...
Wow.
You know what I want to put out
From what
there?
I hear,
Okay, go ahead,
just
sorry.
real quick, I think even when it comes to like the woman's need to be masculine, it has to do more than just with, unaccountable men or men who weren't there to fulfill certain responsibilities that makes the load lighter on the woman's shoulders. It's more than just that, because from what I hear, from women and from female friends, they say that also we're operating in a world where it's just a struggle to trust people. Like it's difficult, specifically when it comes to the opposite sex, to interact with them productively in a way where, somebody's not going to cut around the side, and try to take advantage of them, or circumvent them, in some kind of inappropriate way. But it's just them saying, look, I have to be strong and I have to be on my guard, because I have no one else at this time to fend for me. When you're kind of out in the streets as a single. So I get that a lot. And then also just with women just being more prominently in business too. You know, they're very
Yeah.
active in the same industries we're in.
Right.
You know, there's a different kind of mentality and inner resolve that you have to have because you're in a society where historically, you know, you've been seen essentially, you know, as the weaker vessel or less capable intellectually and so many other things. So that can also be a source of inspiration for a lot of that need to fulfill, you know, certain traits that we call masculine, you know, and I think there is a set form of masculinity and femininity. It's just I think what we as men can sometimes, you know, identify as masculine can just be a woman just resorting to some natural defense mechanisms, you know, give her maybe certain past experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So I saw on a post, and a lot of women are saying, "Well, I'm an alpha female." What does that mean?
look at
I don't know.
What does
Listen,
that mean? I am
like,
an
it's nothing
alpha
more I want in a man
female. Oh my
to
God.
have a man's man, and I follow his lead.
Exactly.
I don't know what happened to that
Right.
or where that went. Listen, I want to be submissive. I don't want to have to pump my
Oh my
gas.
gosh,
I
it's
don't
like-
want to take out the garbage. I
There
don't
you
want to
go.
do none of that.
I feel
want
the
to
same
sit back
way.
and cater to my dude. Trust me when I tell you, it's no greater feeling
Okay.
in the world to me than to sit back and be feminine and look cute and cater and listen. But unfortunately, I'm in a position where I'm still cute, but I still
Gotta fight.
You know,
Right.
fight
Fight.
and take out the garbage and put the gas in my car
Right.
and protect myself and do all of these things.
Right.
Trust me, it ain't a woman alive, really, honestly, that can say that they don't want to be submissive to a man's man. It's all about how you lead.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't straddle the fence. You know, we got too much straddling. You know what I'm saying? You want to be a complainer on this end as a man, and then you want to treat me like a man. But you was just whining and complaining on this side of the thing. Like, come on now, pick
that
a
is-
side and stay there. And we'll stay there. We will gladly
Oh my
stay
gosh.
there.
I'm gonna be quiet
We
because see,
will
Lola's
gladly
speaking for me
stay
too.
there. Trust me when I tell you we would gladly stay there.
Exactly.
There's nothing more that I want for myself.
Oh my gosh. That
At
is
all.
so true.
I think that's a small percentage of women that you're talking about right
look,
now.
She's speaking. Look, she
They-
took the words
uh-huh.
right out of my mouth because I feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
Y'all might want
I
that,
want my man to
Oh,
lead.
real bad.
I want to be submissive.
but when it shows up, and I think also that because you hear say, well, I'll be submissive when this lion of a man comes around, but you might even miss it before it even happens, because if a masculine man is noticing you and your masculine energy, he's not going to even want to approach you in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And so you'll end up attracting these, I guess, what they call beta type men, or men that you don't even like or have to deal with.
I don't think that's always true.
Right?
It's-
I don't
it's-
think that's
it's-
true.
I always
it's-
present myself as
Nothing
a
is
lady.
100%.
I could not say
Nothing is 100%
I always
true.
present myself as a lady. And the guys that approach me, the guys that should be approaching me are somewhat intimidated by me. Off bill, off look. Right? Guys don't really have the confidence now to approach a woman that looks like she has her stuff together, that's pretty, that's attractive.
Can I challenge
They're
that?
not having the confidence these
Can I
They're not
challenge
having the
that?
confidence these days. Absolutely.
Because we live in Dallas right now.
Okay.
Oh God, you
Oh,
say
it's so
something.
different. Oh
Absolutely.
Lord.
All right. Now, can you say the same for Detroit?
I cannot.
Can you say the
Right.
same for
That's my
anywhere in the
struggle.
Midwest?
My
It's
struggle
different.
is
Yeah.
totally
It is
cultural.
different. It's totally
definitely
cultural.
Because I don't have a
Oh
problem
my God!
walking
If
up
I
to a
could, if I
woman.
could put a Detroit dude in a
I know.
suitcase and bring him here to Dallas, that is actually what I would do.
But that's
honestly.
funny. But when we were there, what was going on with them then?
Right.
But
We
it's
had
so
some baby
different
dads.
here. Oh my God. Right.
It's one of those
so
you kind of miss
different
what you
here.
had
You talking to
scenarios
a
or
girl that
whatever. I
literally
don't know.
goes to Detroit once a month, if not more. I literally goes to Detroit once a month just to get that Detroit
It's so
feel,
different.
that Detroit vibe, the Detroit
Yeah.
dudes,
Yeah.
their swag. They're not, they don't mind buying you a couple of drinks or whatever. It's just the little things that they do that
The-
is like set the tone, but it's definitely cultural.
I think
I'm
it is.
curious, how do they dress up there, like Detroit men? Because my style is. No, I'm just saying because my style is business casual, but that can be interpreted as different things depending on the how the woman sees me. So
How
I'm
do they
just-
dress? Look at Art.
Oh, okay.
He from
I
Detroit.
dress like he dressed like Dallas nowadays.
A little bit. I might have got converted a little bit.
You were
I don't
texting now.
know.
You were texting
I don't have the
now.
buffs, and Detroit is
right.
in my heart at this
They
point.
dress.
It's just
Okay.
different.
It's not
the
sagging.
swag.
You don't
right?
don't think that everyone is walking around sagging with their. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
They dress. They did like to match. They like to be fly. You know what I'm saying? And you got a lot of business casual as well. It's a
Yeah.
mix of
A lot of
things.
business casual
A
with swag.
lot of business casual, and it's just of the variety of Detroit. The culture is everything.
And you gotta think we come from, where they literally wear gaiters, man, and suits, and
Okay.
Right.
that's like
Oh,
our
Lord.
cultural background. So
They wait
you
for
know,
the winter to
there's
pull
a-
out the meat.
there's a
I
long
cannot
history
see
of
a gator.
swag
When's
out of
the last time you
Detroit.
seen a
man.
gator?
Oh, I haven't.
Come
Unless I go
on,
home.
rock bottom.
Right.
Okay.
So when we talk about the being feminine and all of that, like I think for me, I'm more of I think I get put in the friend zone a lot because I'm talking about football, I'm talking about business,
Yeah.
I'm talking about golf. Where I find myself at the bar, I'm sitting up with the guys and we're talking about some of the women, and I just like, okay, but wait a minute, I'm talking about this now, but I'm still single. Look, I'm still single. But I'm talking, but that's the things that I like.
I get friend zone.
And I'm just like, well, what is
I
going
definitely get friend zone,
on?
'cause
So
we-
should I stop talking about business
No.
and golf?
It's
And,
because we're down to earth.
and
it's because I'm down to earth.
yeah, and we
everybody's
can
like, I
sit
can
at
be
a
the homegirl.
bar
We know how
and
to
talk
kick it.
to anybody. I mean, I can sit at a bar
You gotta start
and
cutting into
could
guys
just
yourself.
automatically
You might not
just
want
start
to,
talking
but
to
you gotta
them.
start taking the
So
first step.
I heard.
But is that
Literally.
aggressive? Do men like that? Do men
Well,
like when
I
the women
heard-
come up to them?
What's the percentage? All right, y'all don't quote me on this, but
Okay,
it's a really high percentage of marriage for women that approach the man.
Absolutely. I
So,
can believe
so
that
I should
100%.
approach him.
You should start approaching
Okay,
me.
well, that's what I'm about to start doing because
Listen,
look,
we should go out.
because
and
guys
do an
do
experiment.
talk to me, but then it's just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be
Approach
talking
them.
about, the football and
Yep.
I done been
'cause I
friend
love
zone
football.
too.
I love it.
A couple of times, but I don't stay there.
Okay,
The
'cause
moment
I-
I realize
Yeah.
that I might be
This
in a
not what
friend
I'm here
zone,
for, right?
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Because you're not just about to get all this
Yeah.
extra free stuff out of me. Like I'm your boyfriend, but I'm not your boyfriend.
Yeah, don't worry
Oh,
about it.
really?
Don't worry about it, partner.
So how do you feel about being lonely? Because you live alone. I'm an empty
Yeah.
nester. So I'm like, I be wanting to be booed up, y'all. But
I do.
I mean,
Shit, I feel like
I
that.
I'm a super caker.
I love companionship.
I
Right.
love
And I'm like, well, I'm
companionship.
out here. I'm not even.
But
how
I also
people
like
say,
my space.
Right, the wintertime coming, I ain't even booed up, y'all.
So I'm like her. I don't want